Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And as an XRP holder, remember, the SEC has no control over the XRP ledger. Zero. Therefore, because the native token that secures the network, XRP, they can't touch it. They can't control it. They can't seize it. They can't ban it. The SEC is not the world, nor is it going to be Web 3.0. A truly decentralized ledger is untouchable. So at the end of the day, for the XRP holders, projects built on the ledger are what should be in focus. The inspiration of this video was from a new upload today, a fireside chat with the CTO of Ripple, David Schwartz, and Aaron McDonald, the founder of Futureverse. What is the Root Network? When will it go live? And why should XRP holders care? Come on, let's go. The XRP Utility has the most probable capability and reason why the price of the digital asset will go up. It's the simple but true supply and demand tokenomics. And right now, for the most part, speculation has been driving the XRP price. That speculation is coming from retail investors, the little guys. The institutional investors, they are really not here yet, at least not for XRP. When they do arrive, they will have an impact on supply, and that will be an important component for price. There are a few out there, Sygnum Bank and DBS, but the institutional investors are growing slowly. And the key word is slowly. Why? Well, people like BlackRock and Grayscale, they want to see the legal issues out of the way. They need regulatory clarity. We all remember the announcement of Grayscale ending its XRP trust, citing the Ripple SEC lawsuit. That was real financial damage to the XRP holders caused by the SEC. So let me tell you, you'll never find me putting all my eggs in an ODL basket. And what I'm talking about is betting on the on-demand liquidity case for the use of the digital asset as a bridge currency in cross-border remittances. I am paying attention to who is building on the XRP ledger and who is using the digital asset XRP. In that video today with David Schwartz, we learn about Futureverse, and it is a foundation that has a property called Fluff World. This is an ecosystem of NFTs for a metaverse. The Futureverse Foundation is largely supported by the actor Keanu Reeves and his partner Alexander Grant. They have the mission to make grants to support diverse and underrepresented artists, aiming to keep the platform from falling into the hands of irresponsible people. There is largely a small group that really want to control Web 3.0. It's my opinion that many don't want to see this evolution controlled by just a handful of giants, like we have experienced with GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. As an XRP holder, you want to pay attention to this project because they are building a deep integration with the XRP ledger, and it's called the Root Network. Now listen carefully. You'll be able to pay with any token you want, and on the back end, those tokens get converted into XRP, which is the gas on the Root network. Just as Ethereum, is the gas for all Ethereum-based protocols, you can now pay with this root network in, let's say, USDC, Bitcoin, or even Ethereum, and it all gets converted into XRP on the backside of their inner workings. The root network will be EVM compatible. That is the Ethereum virtual machine. So it will be able to do very complex smart contracts, just like Flare Networks is EVM capable. So migration or integration is going to be very easy across the ecosystem with many multi-chains. This is a big deal. It's interoperability at its core. The value of any network is driven by the demand. That demand directly impacts the supply. That is why you might notice today's video, I'm loaded for bear. This root network driving the utility of XRP as the gas for all activity will go live hopefully before the end of Q3 2022. I have a short clip of David and Aaron speaking about the XRP ledger, and if you want to see the video in its entirety, there'll be a link to it in the description of this video. Until next time, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, what do you like about the XRP ledger?
Well, I think when I first started looking into it, I was quite surprised because there's quite a bit of rhetoric out there, and if you only investigate things at that level, you might be misled in terms of what's actually being built. I think it was a very clever solution to solving the energy problem and performance problem of proof of work before proof of stake really became a thing. And the architecture of it in some ways is, if you implement it as the protocol was designed, is possibly more decentralized than proof of stake, because users get to choose the validators that they want to listen to in a way that isn't, forecast in the minds of proof of stake networks. And so you can have this kind of layers of decentralization within the network that aren't available in other architectures, which I thought was really interesting.
I think that's very relevant to Web3 use cases too. If you think about proof of work, like you have automatic stakeholders that are the people who can provide the proof of work. Like you can't act against their interests. They're not gods. They don't run the system, but you can't neglect their interests. And you see in Ethereum's transition to proof of stake that miners, or some of them are saying like, well, we don't want that transition because they're going to lose revenue, and they want fees to be high because they get to keep those fees. And in proof of stake, there are certainly advantages of proof of stake, like the reduced energy consumption, but you still have a group of stakeholders that are people who hold a lot of the native token.
Yeah.
You can use Ethereum for some interesting application like NFTs, and you may not care about Ether, its native token. You may not. There's no correlation between those two. And so in a proof of stake system, you're not necessarily a stakeholder merely because you use Ethereum as a sort of global computer. The stakeholders will become the people who hold the native token. The approach that we took in the XRP ledger tries to make the stakeholders the people who actually transact on the ledger.
Yeah.
So it's not, electrical power that gives you authority. It's not holding the native token XRP that gives you authority. It's the fact that you're a participant in the ecosystem. It's the economic value that your transactions bring, whether or not, we built it as a multi-token ledger. You don't have to use XRP. You have to pay transaction fees, but they're, a tiny, tiny fraction of a penny. So we don't force you to participate in the ecosystem in ways that you don't want to. And we don't sort of take away your voice in governance because you don't hold the native token or because you don't have a lot of electrical power ASICs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this kind of idea of centralization versus decentralization was rooted in the notion of the foundation and the nodes that the foundation kind of deems as important. And I think if you can adjust your frame of reference and think of those as nodes that people have investigated and think have high performance and recommend you use versus nodes you have to use, then it changes the picture entirely. those foundation nodes then start to look a lot more like what Infura does for Ethereum than anything else. And if we take a look at what happened quite recently with Infura and Tornado Cash, we can start to see how decentralized that actually is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the XRP ledger has been around since 2012 or so, so it has kind of stood the test of time in a way that some of the newer technologies haven't. And I think shaking out problems, especially if you're going to trust it with very, very high value applications that are attack and theft targets,
And all of this is to say that, like, the same argument applies to the GameFi conversation we had, is that there's room for more. It's an and question. Some networks and network architecture are good for some things, and the security model on those networks are good for some things, and the contract execution environments are good for some things, and some are good for other things. There isn't a one slice of the cake that fits all use cases. That's not how networks work. We don't have TCP/IP in the air for our mobile network communications, because it's not an effective type of network topology for mobile networks. We use 5G or 3G or 4G as a communications method in that protocol layer, because that's an optimal type of communication for that type of network. And so we have to think about the internet of blockchains in the same way. There are different protocols that suit different kinds of use cases, and that's cool. And let's try and make them work together as much as we possibly can.
It's kind of crazy to try to use the exact same blockchain and the same sort of platform for somebody who wants to, give out 20,000 NFTs to everybody who comes to, download a video, versus somebody who wants to have, an NFT that represents a single fine work of art that's like an irreplaceable, Mona Lisa.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't make sense, right? Those applications have different
storage models, they're different, user experience models. So yeah, we have to think about application specific architectures.
And can we keep them interoperable?
We have to keep them interoperable. I mean, that's one of the things about the root network, right? So out of the box, we're going to be interoperable with Ethereum and XRPL, and we're going to do that in an interesting way. And the architecture allows us to expand that to other networks as well.